Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah and I do all kinds of things on this channel, but today's video is going to be about flipping these 3 pieces of furniture. I thought I could flip 3 things at the same time and do all the prep and painting at the same time and make it easier, and it actually took a very long time. So I'm just going to show you some befores here of just the shape that these guys were in. They weren't terrible, but they were well used. And these pieces, the company is Bentlinger Pine, and it's from the 70s, I think. And this has been through 2 generations of guys, from my understanding. So they've been well used and need some TLC. Now, I have 5.5 hours of footage from flipping these things, and nobody wants to watch that long of a video, so I'm gonna skip some of the basic stuff like cleaning and sanding. I mean, I'll show it briefly, but there's some other things that I had to do in these flips to tend to some things, some broken parts and stuff. So I'll try to highlight that more as we go along. I'm just showing you kind of the more beat up parts of these 3 pieces. There's a dresser, an end table, and then I don't know, an end stand. So usually when I see people flip furniture, they first clean it. And this time I thought, why do you clean it and sweep it out, and then you sand stuff and you get all the gunk inside, and then you have to sweep it out again? So I only cleaned up the parts that I was going to paint. But first, of course, remove the hardware. Once I got all the hardware taken off of the drawer fronts, I did wipe down briefly the tops that I'm going to strip, the drawer fronts and the tops of each of these 3 pieces. So I just stripped it. And one thing that I learned is definitely let your stripper sit the amount of time it says, because I got impatient at one point and tried stripping sooner and it didn't get everything off. So put a nice thick layer of stripper, let it sit for, mine said 30 minutes, and then go back and strip it. And I've also seen people put saran wrap over it if they're going to let it sit where it's really hot and dry so that it doesn't dry off and then be harder to strip or scrape up. But I just let it sit, and I'm in the garage. It's cool enough. It's fine. With the stripper that I use, you do have to kind of neutralize it with a TSP type cleaner and then rinse. So once I had those steps done on all the places that I'm going to sand, I then started with a 120 grit sandpaper to get the stain off, and then I finished with probably a 220 grit sandpaper to have a nice smooth finish. I'm not going to stain, I'm actually going to whitewash this, which I've never done before, but it's kind of like a stain, I guess, a stain paint. But anyway, sanded these guys down to get ready for this whitewash, but I also want to use a damp cloth and wipe off the dust so that it is ready for painting. Now, one thing I learned about Bennington Pine furniture is they stain everything. Usually companies will just stain the outside of stuff and then the inside wood is like just bare wood, but no, this is stained on the inside. And that is why if you saw my desk flip video, I went with the color black because I didn't want to touch the drawers, and I thought this black or really dark wood stain would really look bad if you did a light colored paint or stain on the outside. But for this project, I want to do a light colored paint and stain. So I thought I need to do something with these drawer sides and the inside, so I tackled sanding them. And I don't know, you guys can leave a comment on what you think you would have done or how you think they turned out. It's kind of rough, and I don't know, but I sanded the nightstand and the random stand, whatever you call it, because that was just 3 drawers. And then after that, I was like, I'm not sanding anymore. So for the dresser one, I just decided I'm going to paint them because that was way too much work to keep doing that. And I don't know, tell me in the comments at the end what you think you like better. Sorry, this footage of showing the drawers sanded is the wrong angle. I had a couple shots where my camera was not adjusted properly. But anyway, this is them sanded. The few that I did turned out fine, I guess. You can comment on what you think. Here's one of the special fixes I needed to do. The holes for the screw, where the screws were screwed in for the drawer glides, was totally destroyed. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have gotten, like, I don't know, a decent sized chunk of wood or something and glued it into this spot, and that would have been stronger than this wood filler. But just in the moment, this is what I decided to do. I think it'll hold okay. As long as the next person isn't super destructive with these. Like I said before scuff sanding to prepare to paint, I did wipe these down, and I just thought I'd mention that these little details on each of these pieces took quite some extra effort here to clean, and then prep, and then sand, and then paint, and I really wanted to be able to spray paint these things, and I thought doing them all together and being able to spray them, it would be easy and it wouldn't be too big of a deal, because after doing the desk, I was like, I don't really want to paint that again. But I'll just have to tell you the story of the paint sprayer, which, yeah, it's a thing. The bottom front of this nightstand has some little extra decorative pieces that I decided I didn't want, and I was excited to get to cut a little bit on this piece of furniture. So I just grabbed our big old square and drew a straight line between the two pieces and got my jigsaw and cut it off. And actually, with this being very dry pine, it's very lightweight and it was very easy to cut. And I just did the best I could to get a straight line, and then did a little bit of sanding to smooth it out. And it was pretty good, I think. I think it turned out great. I did need to glue some of these glide pegs back in, and then once the putty was dry, I sanded down where I needed to screw the drawer glides back in as well. Can't forget that step. This furniture, all three pieces, have a ton of dings and scratches, and so I need to fill all those in and sand those down before I can prime and paint. And it looks terrible. It's kind of funny, but sometimes things look worse before it gets better. Here's another lesson learned. I thought instead of boiling the hardware, I could just have my kids use like Comet cleaner to clean them. And yeah, it made them tarnish. So I put it all back in a pot and boiled them with vinegar water, and that seemed to clean them up actually really well. Got the gunk off and the green off, and then it's ready to paint. Here's another thing that's really important with painting furniture is having a clean area. So once I got everything ready to paint, I went through and used the blower and cleaned out the garage, cleaned off the plastic that I had each piece sitting on, and just got stuff spaced out up on cans, because I bought a paint sprayer from Harbor Freight and I heard good things about it, watched videos, decided it's worth the investment. So I began prepping everything for this, between getting it all set up, wiping it down, and then I taped stuff off. And I don't usually like to tape off. I just like to be careful. But with spraying, you have to tape. So I took the tedious time to tape every area that I was going to whitewash so that I could paint spray all this furniture. And I was getting so excited because this was going to go so fast. It was going to be great. Then I got the instructions out on how to connect the sprayer to our air compressor and realized that there are more parts that I need to regulate the air, and I needed a bigger hose, and I had already spent about $50 on the sprayer part and stand and filters. And then I was going to need to spend another, $50 to do these other things. And then talking to the guy at the paint store, he was like, well, if you read the cans, they say don't use an air compressor sprayer. You should buy a motor sprayer. And those at Lowe's were $200. And I thought, I'm not no, I'm not spending $200. I'm not spending $100 on something that isn't recommended. All right, so as any project seems to go, you end up going back to the store many times. And while I was at Lowe's already today, I thought, maybe I should pick up paint rollers just in case I need them. And I thought, no, I'll just use the paint sprayer. I don't need them. So I didn't buy any. And now I know I can't use the paint sprayer. So I either go buy a lot more parts for the paint sprayer or I go buy rollers. And I've decided rollers are cheaper than paint sprayer parts. So here we are running in, and hopefully I can get back. I have a meeting tonight, so I probably won't be able to get much done, at least not as much as I was hoping, but one step at a time. And the best way to get through projects is to not get upset if they take longer than you think and just go with the flow. So let's go flow. While at the store picking up my rollers, I decided to check out the contact paper because I wanted to line the insides of all the drawers with some fun designs. So I found these two. I think they will work, and I'm going to take them home with me. I did not get any painting done that day, but it's a new day, and we're going to get some progress done because it's 11 minutes into the video, and we need to see some paint going on and get this project done. Oh, I decided to paint the hardware black, the handles and the hinges, to get a nice contrast to this light colored furniture. And it is amazing the transformation that one coat of primer can bring on a dark piece of furniture. So here we go. I've got them primed, but oops, I realized once filming this, I missed an entire side. So I had to go back and prime that. And then we are ready to paint these guys. Oh, this is exciting. I got the good stuff this time. Valspar's cabinet and a furniture paint in the color Wedding Mint. Now, you guys can tell me what you think about this color. It is not what I imagined the color to turn out to be, but I think all in all it will work out, and I hope somebody loves this piece and just thinks it's amazing. This is too funny. Like, you can't even see any color going on at all, but it is a very light minty green color. I was kind of wanting more of a muted green. I don't know. Anyway, you'll see in the final reveal the color, but right now it looks like nothing. But trust me, I'm putting paint on. All right, after one coat of primer and 2 coats of paint, it's time to take the painter's tape and protective layer off so that we can get to the whitewash. Now, for the whitewash, I am using an old off-white furniture paint. I don't even know what color it is. And it's actually really old, and I'm told not to use old paint, but I'm watering it down anyway, so I'm sure it'll be fine. So I did really just 50-50, half water, half paint, mixed it up real good, and it's really easy to do a whitewash. You put it on, and then with a rag, either right away if you want it more thin, or let it sit for a little bit if you want it to be thicker, and you wipe it off. And now I did do 2 coats of wipe on poly on top of all of this, and I do feel like it kind of darkened the color, and I kind of wish I'd done 2 coats of whitewash, but I think it's fine. I did sand after the whitewash, put a coat of poly on, sanded, and then put a second coat of poly on to seal it, and that was it. It was much easier than painting. Once all of the painting and top coating is finished, I need to put all these little metal pieces back on for the magnet catch on the doors. I'm going to sweep everything out. I mean, this has been sitting for like 4 weeks because I just work on this project when I can between the rest of my schedule. And so everything got dust and cobwebs and stuff. So everything needs a sweep out and a wipe down. And then we can start putting hardware on and putting the doors back on and get all the beautiful pictures and see this project come together. This is the fun part. All the drawers that I sanded, I used this Feed and Wax stuff to just give the really dry wood a little bit of moisture. I did not do it in the bottom of the drawer because I'm going to put contact paper and I figured that it would never stick. So I just did the inside and the outside of the sides, not the front because that's been whitewashed, but just the sides, just to feed the wood and kind of refresh it. I also put this on the drawer slides to help the drawers slide nice and easy. And I did not paint the bottoms of the drawers. I left that wood so that paint wouldn't be chipping off and it wouldn't be causing friction on the drawer slides. So if you're painting drawers, I do not recommend painting the bottoms. Like, leave that wood. All right, so now it's time for contact paper. And oh my goodness, this gave me a run for my money. I thought, oh, it's easy in videos. They just kind of peel from the corner and it slides down and you have this little sharp knife and you trim the edges and it looks perfect and beautiful and it's really not that difficult to work with. Well, I tried and I tried and I tried different things and I did not get a single drawer to look perfect. My first drawer ripped right at the edge. I tried matching up the design and that was just a disaster. And you know, I did my best and I don't know that I'll do that again because that was a lot of time and work to try to get that inside looking cute. My hat goes off to those people who can pull off contact paper. So this is cute and it worked, but that was crazy. I do recommend, if you're going to use contact paper in the bottom of a drawer, to cut it as best to the size that you need and then also start from a corner and line up both sides of that corner piece as best you can and peel away. And if you get it lined up pretty close to perfect, you can get as few bubbles as possible and have it lay nice. And then if you need to trim a little around the edges, you can. That is the best I could get it to work, and it turned out okay. It's cute. Now we're to the point to put on handles and the hinges. Now with the hinges, since I painted them black, I did not paint the screws ahead of time. I went ahead and hung the doors, and then I came back with a little bitty paintbrush, sprayed a little of the spray paint in a bowl and hand painted each of the screw heads so that everything looked nice and uniform and black. And as I'm putting things back together and testing doors, it turns out that one door did not go on correct and it is hitting the side and not closing all the way. So I'm going to need to fill the holes that are in there and move the hinge over just a smidge and patch the paint here that got chipped off already. Oh, if you ever had a project where you just want to be done and then this, and this keeps coming up. So, got to take care of this. This door must close. Now, I realized that this door was not opening and closing properly right after I had painted the heads of the screws. So I couldn't take this off the same day. I waited until the next day, took the screws out, moved the door to where I wanted it and marked where I wanted them to go, and then took the door completely off and called my dad, and he went through some solutions with me and we came up with these skewers and just cutting the tips off like I did in the dresser flip that I did to fill the holes for the handles. So anyway, cut these, and then with a little glue dabbed on the tip, I shoved them in as far as I could go and then hammered them in with the rubber mallet to get them as flush as possible. And I made sure to cut these about the right depth to the depth of the screw so I wouldn't have to sand or anything. So once I got these flush, I let them dry. I needed to patch up a couple spots with paint so that it looked nice and fresh, and had to wait a day for this glue to dry, and then I can come back and very carefully drill the holes for where these need to go. And I did one set of hinges, and then I moved down to the lower set and made sure that it was lined up before I screwed the holes for those, because I didn't want to have to do this again. So once that was done, my pieces were finally finished and ready for pictures. But as any good furniture flip video will have, we first need to go back and look at where we started before we do the final reveal. My goodness, guys, we got 5.5 hours video down to 21 minutes now. And we're going to go into the final reveal. You may think, Sarah, this wasn't that much work, but I know the weeks that it took, and this was a labor of love. So I hope you have enjoyed the ins and outs of this project and enjoy seeing the beauty that these pieces turned into. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.